I tend to vet the girls a little bit. So I'll ask them about their past relationship history, their dating history, and they'll typically reveal, I've had some one night stands, flings here and there. They'll say even they'll even tell me how recently, and then they'll be like, well, I want to get to know you better, and I want to wait 3 dates, blah, 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 and all this shit. And I'm like, I lose interest. I'm like, okay, well, look, I am interested in a long-term relationship, but I'm also not going to wait 3, 4, 5 dates. I'm not going to wait 1, 2, 3 months for sex because I'm not a virgin. I'm not waiting. You're not a virgin either. We're both adults.
Women have these little episodes where they don't want to be seen as whores as well, even if they are. It makes no sense to us as men, but there are moments where women decide, like, I'm not going to do this again, or they didn't like the fact that they hooked up with a guy and the guy didn't stay around, so they're like, I'm not going to give up sex too quickly, because we also got to remember sometimes the guys that women hook up with, they probably do want to pursue something further with, and the guy just doesn't want to. So it's different scenarios, it's different factors at play. And as a guy, of course, you have the right to say no. I would, in that same situation, I would do what you do. Like, I'd be like, no, I'm not waiting. And other guys didn't have to wait, but I'm typically the guy who gets it when I want it, as soon as I want it. So I can't relate to the men who wait in line or who get denied sex. So from your perspective, I do understand. But there are times where women are just like, I want to change. I want to be different. I want somebody to court me. I want somebody to romance me. And they don't think about the fact that they've been whores in the past. They don't consider that, and they don't care.
But I mean, the thing with that though is that I don't actually even believe that that's even genuine, because if an attractive enough guy comes along and she knows, even if he's direct about his casual intentions with her, if he's attractive enough, she'll still break
and well met.
Break the rule.
She'll try to.
Lol Paladins donated $200.02. It's not that confusing. Women don't need to trust a man in order to sleep with a man. Stop swallowing your blue pill. They are telling you that because you give off Billy vibes. Don't be a chump.
Not necessarily. I mean,
but let me say, to your point, what they'll do, because I've experienced this, is they'll try to change your mind. That's what they try to do. They'll give it up and they'll go along with the flow, thinking that you'll change your mind. If you tell a woman, I'm not looking for anything serious, I just want something casual, they'll try to change your mind. I've experienced that, and guys who also have dealt with that will tell you that they'll try to change your mind. Yeah,
sure. I guess my point of contention is more so, even as a guy, even if you're desirous of a serious relationship with this girl, she's going to withhold. But there's no actual guiding values or morals there. It's just this arbitrary thing to get compliance from you, basically.
So, well, I have a much more biological, psychological perspective. I think it's just the power of attraction. I think it's just like with her case. That's why the dude that she found super, super attractive could have a mattress on the floor, and she could still think that he was on drugs and would kill her, but she still slept with him because she said he was gorgeous. That is just a neurophysiological response in the female brain. If she finds you attractive enough, then she will overlook everything else about you that could be hazardous, a red flag, and she'll still sleep with you. That's the way attraction works. It's biology.
I could see that situation going both ways, though. Like, she could still try to do the leverage move of, like, I'm going to wait, still, even in that situation with a really attractive guy. Or she breaks her rules for the really attractive guy and fucks him anyways. I could see it going both ways. But again, my whole issue here is I certainly acknowledge that. It's more so from the perspective of, hey, this woman, she's been promiscuous in the past, gave it up easy. Now you're the next guy who comes along, and then she decides you're the guy who she's going to make wait. And in my view, I think that if the guy does wait, makes him a sucker.
Absolutely.
Makes him a total sucker, and
absolutely.
He should just go find a girl who has either it's weird though, because these girls could still have genuine desire for the guy, but still be, okay, I'm going to play this game as leverage to get commitment, or because I think that this is the right thing to do or the right move to do, or this is what I read in fucking Cosmo, or I saw on some TikTok, you got to make the guy wait 1, 2, 3 months.
The self-healing journeys,
to get
trying to find themselves,
yeah.
they're trying to change it up. Yeah, all of those things play a factor in their attitudes towards how they proceed with next. I told you, they just be trying to change.
But they'll do this even if the guy, like at least for me, for example. So I don't have any qualms with sleeping with the girl on the first, second, or third date. Right. No qualms there. And if I see long-term potential, it's not going to matter if we hook up quickly.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you've had that experience, probably your girlfriends.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Your long-term relationships. Mm-hmm. Was it, let's wait 2 months and then get into a relationship, then have sex? Or was it have sex quick and we continue hooking up, now we're in a relationship?
It's right there. It's that one. Yeah. That's my dynamic. Yeah.
That's always been all my relationships. So when these girls, though, come and they're like, well, I want to get to know you better, I'm like, you just lost a relationship. I'm no longer interested.
I tell them we can get to know each other as we getting to know each other as we fucking.
So
because I have no plans to fuck you and then leave you and go.
But Brian, doesn't that create a catch-22 for you?
What do you mean?
Well, because you're like, well, wait a second. If you've had a one-night stand, that somewhat disqualifies you because you're not willing to have the one-night stand with me, right?
Well, I don't want a one-night stand, though.
No, I understand you don't want it, but what triggers you about it, or what gets you tilted about it, or whatever kind of language you want, is that they'd be willing to do that with somebody, but not you. Like, that's what the flag itself is, right?
Yeah.
I suppose that's a component of it, yeah. What's the catch-22, though?
Well, because then this means that even if this woman was trying to achieve virtue, or changed her mind, or had made a mistake, or had regrets about doing this thing, that by telling you that she wanted to pursue virtue, wouldn't you be potentially removing virtuous women from your pool by kind of rejecting them outright, because this is not behavior they would do with you, but that is behavior that you would prefer a woman did do with men?
Interesting.
Yeah, good point, Andrew.
It's a fair point, although, I mean, you've actually used this argument before, Andrew, is the great hoe reformation. And so, is it actually virtue? Are they actually virtuous? Have they actually...
Yeah, I think that gets to the heart of the contention. So I'd like to, from the argument from your side. So every side has an argument, right? So the argument from your side, I think that this is a compelling one against you, but I think the compelling argument for you is that, well, if a woman is only doing this for the purposes of impressing men, then she's faking virtue.
Mm-hmm.
That would be faking virtue, right? So that would be the big contention, I think, from your end of the argument. And I don't have an argument against that, by the way. I think that it kind of railroads right there, and I don't know where to go with it.
Because you can never really tell.
Yeah, how would you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, right? So how would you ever know the difference of if they're doing it because they're faking virtue, or they're doing it because they genuinely wanted to be virtuous? How could you actually tell the difference? And so I don't actually have an answer to this. I call it the Brian conundrum, right? Or the Brian paradox, or whatever you want to say, right? I don't have an answer for this.
Okay, so let me add a caveat. Brian. Let's take your example. Let's say she does have a history of being promiscuous, but she's been celibate for, say, the past 2 years, and then you come across her and she said, well, I've been celibate the past 2 years. Yeah, I've had one night stands in the past, but for the past 2 years I've been celibate, and I would like to keep it that way, and I would like us to get to know each other. Would that pivot your perspective?
I think that's there's obviously nuance to these sorts of conversations. So I think, yes, it would, so long as, was genuine. I'm assuming it is. Yeah, I think it would depend how long she wanted to wait then, though.
Okay.
You want to wait 3 months, still not interested.
Oh, like until marriage,
you want to wait,
right?
You want to wait. Oh, no, well, that's not. Yeah, 3 dates. I'll give 3 dates. Okay, all right. 3.
But I think you have said in the past that if a woman was pursuing her religious values and seemed to be adamant towards those, that you would take that into consideration versus a secularist, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me, right? Maybe that's a sign then that you're not faking virtue.
Yeah. I think kind of the issue here is in these sorts of situations is one, the recency with which they were engaged in a casual hookup. So I just would not, it would be very difficult for me to take it seriously. For example, if a woman like 2 weeks prior had a one night stand.
And then
she's
found
like,
Jesus.
well, or not even, well, a lot of these, even secular atheist women who are not religious at all will do this whole, they're not even in, it's not even in pursuit of any sort of religious, for any religious reasons. They'll just, oh, I want to like wait to have sex. I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. Hey, that's fine, whatever. So I don't think it's solely religious women who will do this. It's also secular atheist women. I guess, so my contention is, one, the recency, so if they did it 2 weeks ago, but now, oh, you want to wait 3 months, but the 2 weeks ago you fucked a guy within 30 minutes of meeting him, I'm like, okay, lady. And then the other thing some women will do, and then Austin, you'll pull up that first one here in a sec, is they'll be making a guy wait and also fucking a dude while making the guy who they have their eye on for a long-term relationship, they'll make him wait.